The greatest gift a father can give is probably faith and belief in the child. Prince Adam didn't really get it for most of his life from King Randor, but that doesn't mean Randor was a bad dad. He loved his son with all his heart for how just and noble he was, and these qualities Adam got from his old man. So yeah, even if you don't give Randor the Father of the Year award, you have to admit he was an awesome king because of how he tackled the various issues that kept cropping up on Eternia thanks to the machinations of several notable bad guys. Randor was not from the royal blood and was chosen a king, but how did that happen? Well, in this video, we'll explore this man's journey as he became a king from a common soldier serving the Eternian Defense Forces before exploring how he met and fell in love with his wife and everything else in his life right up until his demise. So, without further ado, let's begin. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means an awful lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Long I've waited for this, Randor.
Becoming king. In the 2002 reboot by Mike Young Productions, Randor's backstory gets a bit of a revamp. Known as Captain Randor in his younger days, he was a celebrated warrior. This contrasts with the 1983 series where he ascended the throne following his father, King Miro's disappearance. The 2002 series shows him actively joining the Masters in battles against Skeletor, his evil warriors, and even the Snake Men. It was here that he served the Council of Elders, who helped him to ascend as the King of Eternia. Following King Grayskull's death, the Council of Elders governed Eternia for a while. However, after Keldor's transformation into Skeletor, the Elders appoint Randor as king and integrate themselves with Castle Grayskull. We also learn just how connected Skeletor and Randor were. They fought during the Great Unrest, a conflict that could be called a turning point in Eternian history. Their rivalry culminates when Keldor attacks the Hall of Wisdom and duels with Randor. Keldor's acid attack backfires due to Randor's shield disfiguring Keldor, which leads to his transformation into Skeletor. Intriguingly, a writer for the series revealed that Keldor and Randor are half-brothers, a detail not explicitly disclosed in the series itself, but it's interesting to note that both their names end in the same 3 letters. Before his iconic battle with Keldor, Captain Randor came to the council and asked them to evacuate, for if Keldor infiltrated the castle, he would end the Elders. But the council tells Randor that he should fight Keldor. In fact, they believed he would defeat Keldor as the King of Eternia, which was surprising to Randor since he only considered himself a soldier. Naturally, Randor, more warrior than statesman, hesitated, but soon shifted focus to his imminent clash with Keldor. Post-battle, with Keldor defeated and the council gone poof, the sorceress informs Randor of his new role and hints at his future in shaping a mighty hero. Confused, Randor asks the sorceress about this hero's identity, perhaps expecting to mentor a formidable warrior, but even she disappears. It's suggested that Randor's inherent qualities as captain subtly imbued Adam with the potential to become He-Man. Meeting Marlena. In the Filmation Series, Marlena's story before meeting Randor or crashing on Eternia was explained in the episode titled Tila's Quest, but that's a story for another day. The episode called The Rainbow Warrior is where she actually meets King Randor. So the story begins at Snake Mountain, where Skeletor's frustration is mounting. His attempts to conquer Castle Grayskull have been futile, and the bumbling of Beastman and Trapjaw only adds to his vexation. Realizing he needs a more powerful force to defeat He-Man, he weighs his options. His attentions turn to the Royal Guard, who were showing their skills in a joust at the palace. A lightbulb moment comes from him and he wonders, why not attack the palace, enslave these skilled guardsmen, and turn their skills against He-Man? Meanwhile, the Royal Guard is engaged in a lively joust with their captain, Tila, on her sky sled. Despite her efforts, she's unexpectedly tagged out by stun beams from above. Watching this, Queen Marlena is hit by a wave of nostalgia, and she's reminded of one of her Earth maneuvers, the Immelman turn. She suggests it, but Tila, perhaps not fully grasping its potential, brushes it off. It was strange the way Tila just dismissed her queen's offer. Tila's just lucky this is the He-Man universe, and her queen isn't Daenerys or Rhaenyra. Anyways, the scene shifts to a more intimate setting, where King Randor encounters Marlena in the palace's museum. Here lies the Rainbow Explorer, the very NASA spacecraft that brought Lieutenant Marlena Glenn to Eternia. They reminisce about their first meeting when Randor discovered Marlena at the crash site and invited her to the palace. What was meant to be a temporary stay turned into a lifetime, as Marlena fell in love with Randor and chose to remain on Eternia. Later, Eternia thrives in peace under King Randor's reign. Married to Marlena, they have a son, Adam, the prophesized hero, unbeknownst to Randor. King Randor's premiere in the comics and the epic introduction to Eternia's ruler. In Paul Kupperberg's DC Comics run, King Randor and Queen Marlena of Eternia were depicted as an older couple, which was similar to their portrayal in subsequent mini-comics. These stories also focused on Randor's disappointment in Prince Adam's disinterest in royal duties. Additionally, it was the first time Marlena's Earth origins were mentioned. One of the most important events in these stories was when He-Man met the royal couple. He fears they might see through his disguise and realize he's their son, Adam, since his He-Man persona differs only in attire. But He-Man probably forgot that no one recognizes Superman when he wears a pair of spectacles. While Queen Marlena notes a similarity between He-Man and Adam, King Randor remains oblivious. In fact, he regrets that his own heir isn't as strong and powerful as He-Man, unaware of the irony. Filmation Series. In the Filmation Series, King Randor of Eternia was a man filled with nobility and kindness. He was the father of Prince Adam, He-Man's alter ego, and the later introduced Princess Adora, aka She-Ra. While Randor often finds himself frustrated by Adam's apparent laziness and lack of responsibility, his love and pride for his son's honesty and kindness never waver. Unaware of Adam's secret life as He-Man, Randor also sees in him a future king and tries imparting valuable lessons, which has been a recurring theme in all of Randor's iterations. Although Randor regularly appears in the series, he doesn't really jump into the fray as far as action is concerned. I mean, he was mostly a side character who was needed so the story could move forward each episode. However, an exception was made in the episode titled Prince Adam No More, where his deep affection for Adam and his combat skills against Skeletor's robots are featured. In this episode, King Randor was on a royal tour across Eternia. The king was to go with Man-at-Arms, who had just gotten the attack track ready. Oddly enough, Randor wished for only the mightiest champion to stand beside him, kind of making it sound like he could have been accompanied by his son, Prince Adam, instead. Naturally, this deflated the boy, but Orko messed up the vehicle, attack track, and chaos ensued soon enough. He-Man steps in and stops the renegade vehicle with his power sword. With order restored once again, He-Man gained the gratitude of King Randor once again. Unaware of the fact that Adam led a double life as He-Man, Randor insisted upon taking him on the tour in need of someone experienced and reliable for protection. Randor proceeds on his journey en route for Dristo City, going with both Man-at-Arms and his son, Prince Adam. Unfortunately, they fall right into the trap of Beastman, who wanted to redeem himself in the eyes of Skeletor. He attacked the contingent with shadow beasts and made off with King Randor. Now that he had the king in his hands, what was he going to do about it? Well, he demanded a ransom from the royal palace. I guess there's a reason that Beastman is a henchman of Skeletor and not the big bad villain. Anyways, as Randor is led to Snake Mountain, he finds himself in the unexpected company of Merman, who is amazed by Beastman's actions. Randor awaits his fate, locked away in a cell. Needless to say, the rescue comes in the form of He-Man. He-Man fights to free Randor, then the king shows his own mettle, picks up a mace, and joins the fight against the hover robots. In a moment of vulnerability, Randor confesses to He-Man his deep love for Adam and explains the trouble he has expressing this love. This episode ends with Randor, now free and returning to his tour on the repaired attack track. He tells Adam that he could learn much from He-Man, oblivious to the irony of his statement. The New Adventures of He-Man. Randor doesn't play much of a part in the New Adventures of He-Man, but the first episode, titled A New Beginning, had something going on. Their son, Adam, is preparing for a journey to the future, and Randor, along with his queen, could not be more proud, but fate had other plans. Adam decides to reveal his secret to them. He transforms into He-Man right before their eyes, and it's the first time Randor sees his son's true identity. His reaction is one of amazement, as he tells He-Man how proud he is of his son.
I haven't told you I loved you. And I never told you.
Revelations! Back when Adam was just a kid, King Randor taught him the intricacies of sword fighting. Of course, Man-at-Arms was the main man behind Adam's training and ensured that the kid became a man when he grew up, instead of becoming a man-child. Once Adam's all grown up, Randor imparts some good old fatherly and kingly wisdom to him. He says that Eternia was better off with different people being heroes and kings, not like the old days with King Grayskull, when one person did everything. Years roll by, everyone thinks Skeletor is dead, but Randor can't shake the feeling of dread, tossing and turning at night. Queen Marlena tries to ease his mind, but to no avail. This guy's seriously stressed. Then, out of nowhere, this legendary beast, the Orlax of Primeria, shows right up in their palace, Eternos. Randor gets hit by its tentacle and it's lights out for him. They rush him to Castle Grayskull, fingers crossed that the sorceress can do something about it and fix the king. Later on, Rando and Marlena are hosting this big event where they're about to name Teela the new Man-at-Arms. But just as they're getting down to business, Skeletor's crew crashes the party at Castle Grayskull, well. Randor, on his feet, tells Adam to lock up and stay out of harm's way while he and Marlena hustle the guests to safety. Meanwhile, Tila, her dad, and the guards are off to rumble with Skeletor's minions. Post-battle, Tila and Duncan reveal the sad news to everyone that He-Man, Eternia's watchful protector, has sacrificed himself to take down Skeletor. Marlena instantly knew this meant Adam, her son, was gone, but Randor was still in the dark about Adam being He-Man. Learning this, Randor felt utterly betrayed, especially by Duncan, his right-hand man. He stripped Duncan of his Man-at-Arms title and kicked him out of Eternos then and there. Tila, feeling equally duped by those she trusted most, decided to leave the royal palace as well. Following all this drama, Randor laid down the law that Castle Grayskull was off limits, no exceptions. Things got troublesome between him and Marlena, you see. Randor couldn't forgive her for keeping Adam's secret, and she started to resent him big time, and even toyed with the idea of heading back to Earth. When Skeletor made his big comeback, grabbing the power of Grayskull, Clampchamp sprang into action and whisked the king and queen off to Point Dread in a Talon fighter. Well, he stuck around in Eternos. At Point Dread, Randor and his people set up camp to gear up for war. Meanwhile, Marlena was out on patrol when Savage He-Man, Adam's wilder side, stormed the camp. The Royal Guard tried, but couldn't hold a candle to him. They finally restrained him, but then Randor, realizing his son was somehow back from the dead, stepped in. He poured his heart out and confessed his love and pride for Adam. That's when Savage He-Man transformed back into Prince Adam, which finally led to a long overdue father-son hug. Randor didn't skip a beat in showing his gratitude to Tila and Cringer for bringing Adam back. He even promoted Andra to lieutenant in his army. Then, as Godlin showed up, wrecking Preternia, Randor was getting ready for the battle to bring peace and tranquility to Eternia. Tila, with her new psychic skills, was calling for backup, and even a power-stripped Skeletor chipped in. Before the battle started, Randor, riding Stridor, made peace with Marlena. They were stoked to see a diverse Eternian army rallying behind them. But then, Godlin raised an army of the undead Shadow Beasts, and Scareglow also joined the fray. So things were looking pretty high octane. On the flip side, Orko 2 wasn't sitting out this battle, and he came back from the dead, still fighting alongside the good guys. Randor teamed up with Duncan and Andra on the front lines. Meanwhile, Tila stepped up as the new sorceress of Grayskull, talked some sense into Godlin, and He-Man took down Skellige. At the royal palace, it was a big day when Andra officially became the new man-at-arms. Breaking with tradition, Randor and Marlena stood up and shared a heartfelt hug with Adam in front of everyone. But things took a jog to the left when Randor suddenly fell ill after He-Man's tussle with Scareglow. On his deathbed, he shared his pride, not just in his reign, but more so in his marriage to Marlena and being Adam's father. He passed the crown to Adam and left the world in peace. So that was the story of King Randor, a man who rose from the bottom and went on to become one of the most powerful and successful kings in Eternian history. His reign was almost always marked by chaos thanks to the multitudinous evil forces at play. However, he didn't let anyone wreck Eternia and always ensured that the Eternians were safe. He was a great father, at least most of the time, but you can't deny that it was his noble and just nature that later shaped Adam's life. We're going to explore a lot of He-Man in the Masters of the Universe content in the coming weeks, so if you're a fan of the hero or a fan of the sword and sorcery genre, Marvelous Videos is the place to be. See you next time. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, be safe out there, and thanks for watching.
I haven't told you I loved you, and I never told you